Hello, Lisa. Welcome to Daily Magazine's interview. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Such a great pleasure and an honor. I want to ask you, first of all, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Yes, very well. Very well.
How are things? I know you're back in the UK, right?
Yes, you've actually caught me on an extremely exciting day because my husband, who has been in America, selling our house and waiting on his visa to come over to the UK. He just got it through today, and we've been waiting. Me and my children have been waiting for 3 months
wow.
for him to return. So we are. It's a very good day for us today.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I can't wait to come back to UK, especially London. I have so many friends there.
Yeah,
I miss it.
I haven't lived here for a long, long time, but it's nice to be back actually.
True. First of all, I want to ask you, the first question is, where do you get so much energy and thirst for acting?
Where do I get so much energy?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I've always been like that, really. I've been like that since I was a child. But having children, as much as exhausting as it is, I think you don't have time to sit down. You have to constantly be like on the go. So my kids keep me going. They definitely do. My two little ones.
What was the moment that defined you as an actress, and what is the most important thing that you got from acting?
I've been thinking a lot about this lately, about, sort of why acting and what it means to me and everything, because it is such a big part of my life. And actually with coronavirus, I think everybody's perspectives have changed, and it's made people think really long and hard about what they're doing with their life. But I have realized this past year that acting is an enormous part of who I am. I think because I feel such, I love to tell story. I love to tell story, and I love to connect with people, even if it's not in a theatre where you get that immediate connection. When you're doing on-screen work, you don't necessarily get that. But telling story to people and connecting with people and people's emotion is so important to me, and I just love it. And I think it's so important, especially now. But as far as the moment that defined me as an actress, gosh, I don't know. There's been so many moments that have been so important to me in the growth of my work and who I've become as a human being, not just an actress. But New Amsterdam was particularly a very poignant moment for me in my career, because it was the first time I'd done sort of more of a long arching character on a TV show. I'd mostly been doing theatre work for a long time. Yeah. So that was a real honor. But also to play a character that was so close to what I was really living, in some respects, not in others. But I was actually pregnant while I was filming.
Wow.
New Amsterdam. So it was really, really close to home for me, portraying a pregnant woman. And I have so many thoughts about pregnancy and motherhood and all of that. So it was kind of lovely to be able to contribute a little bit of that to screen. And so that was definitely one of my more defining moments of my career, but there's been many.
Wow. For us, the public, the world of acting is, I don't know, it's fascinating. And many of us will dream of just being in their favorite show, along with other, the favorite actors. But I think that little do we know about the sacrifices, the hard times, and dare I say struggles for survival in the industry, because it's like, I think it's very hard. Is this, or was the case for you?
Yeah, there's been some really, really, I've been very lucky, but there's been some really low moments, when I had children. Actually, that's why it was New Amsterdam was so important to me in a lot of ways, because I had a big break when I had my first child. I did a little bit of acting, but not a lot. And I felt really like I lost a sense of who I was, and that the industry wouldn't now accept me because I was a mother. And there was a lot of hang-ups that I had. And actually getting this part, it meant a lot to me, because I'd had such a lull in confidence and in self-esteem. And we all have that as actors. You do get a little bit toughened to all the rejection and stuff, because it's part of the job. but it's hard going, you know, constantly chipping away. You know, you get your hands on a script and you love it, and you think this is so me, and it feels so right, and then it doesn't go your way. There's a lot of that. It's not always going to be a success story every time, and but that is also part of what makes a career. You have to constantly keep sort of fighting and not get complacent and keep going. But it really has to be the only thing I think you want to do, because if there was something else that you like to do, then it would be a much easier road, I'm sure. But it's so worthwhile. I feel so honored to get to do what I do. It doesn't feel like a job at all, actually.
Yeah, when you were describing the way it was for you, I just felt like me on LinkedIn or every other job website trying to apply for jobs, and the jobs that I really like, I feel confident I'm gonna get it. It's me, it represents me. And then unfortunately I was like, ah!
I know. And it's always, honestly, like I just filmed something which I can't reveal yet, but just recently, and the audition, I've been on my own without my husband for 3 months. I've been basically single parenting, and my hat goes so majorly off to single parents because you're all amazing. So I was exhausted, and I had this script, and my mum rushed over, and we threw it down on tape, and I honestly, I just no makeup, I was just no energy. I had my slippers on, I just literally threw it down on tape, and I was almost embarrassed to send it in, to be honest with you, but sent it in, and of course that was the one I got. It's just so interesting, isn't it? Like the ones you put so much thought,
effort and thought, it never goes your way. The ones that you just like, okay, let's just do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So perhaps I just need to go up for really tired women now, because that's what I can relate to. But no, it's so fascinating to see how things pan out, for actors. There's many paths that you could take, and the one job that perhaps makes your career. You just it's kind of a sliding doors scenario all the time.
Let's get back and talk to about New Amsterdam. I want to know, what do you think are the top 3 elements that makes the series a must-see?
The 3 elements. Number 1, very creative and surprising writing, not generic. It has some really interesting point of views, and I think that's really, really important. And they've set out to do that from the start, and I think that's what makes it stand apart from other medical dramas. Number 2, an absolutely beyond extraordinary cast, not just on a professional level, but on a personal level, just like a beautiful family of people, and I think it shows on screen.
True.
Number 3, it's just sort of like a wonderful sob fest. The shows that you get to watch and you just feel like you've been to therapy because you just cry so hard. I think for a lot of people it has become that. You tune into New Amsterdam and you just have a really good cry and you feel good. No, there's so many reasons why to watch the show, but it was a wonderful, wonderful piece to be involved in.
Do you think that the healthcare system can really have the ideal world that you present in New Amsterdam when we talk about doctors, hospital, etc., especially in times of crisis like the ones that we live today?
Yeah, I know. It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? I mean, especially in the States, I think it's a very controversial subject, but I'm from England, obviously, where we have a national health service, and being back here, it's so different. I've been in the States for over 10 years now, where I'm used to having the insurance and all of that, but it's heartbreaking that there are families out there that don't have insurance, that find themselves in a position where they can't get coverage and they can't get medical care, and it should be a human right, in my opinion.
For me, I don't even think about it. I mean, I just okay, I just go to the doctor and I just get fixed, You
take it for granted when you're from anywhere else. But having lived there, and also my husband would always say, oh, I need to take this job because it will get us our weeks so that we have our insurance. And so many of your decisions in your life are based upon you know, are we going to be covered medically?
Yeah.
And as an actor, oh my gosh, I mean, you know, so many of my friends would just miss the mark on their weeks and not able to, you know, it's just so, it's problematic, really is. And yes, I think it would be amazing if we could reach that kind of ideal in the States, but at the moment it's still very much a work in progress.
What do you think we should improve, or do you think there should be improvements in your point of view in order to have a better world in terms of healthcare?
Healthcare?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's almost like a political question. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I look, I know that there are flaws in the National Health Service, and it's not a perfect thing, but like we just discussed, the fact that we all have access to medical care, which again, political, but which is what Obama was trying to achieve, you know. I think it should be a human right. I mean, everybody should be able to access care at some level.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to say that there shouldn't be, you know, other private insurances that, you know, maybe you get a different level of care. I don't know, but I think every single human being on the planet should be able to access free healthcare, and I think it's absolutely crazy that it's not the case. Yeah.
For me right now, I think looking the time we are experiencing, I think for me transparency is something that it's a bit lacking. I think that if we can be transparency, we can create a smarter healthcare consumer, and in the long run we will have a healthcare value. Maybe we can help also other people that, like, I don't know, Africa and places where they don't get that much access. You know? If we are transparent with what we're doing with our. But yeah, it's a hard topic.
It's a hard topic indeed. But yes, I think what New Amsterdam are doing is they're raising awareness, and they're asking questions, and they're telling a story that's so important, and it makes people think, and, you know, and that's where art can be so useful. I think it's you know, it makes people think, and people engage in dialogue, and that's where it all begins. And so it's important. I think the show's important for that reason.
True. You had also it was human, the role that you play, but also very difficult, because you approach difficult medical conditions that the real world is facing right now. So I want to know, did the role change you in some way, the perspective, your personality, and what is the message that Georgia God will like to share with us, the people?
My goodness, I don't know. I mean, of course, I think every role changes you in some respect, and I like to think of each of my characters that I play, regardless of how close they may be to my own personality, and maybe they're not at all, but it's that sort of a form of therapy, in that you get to live through someone else's story and come away with some sort of, you know, insight into what that would be like. Georgia, I don't know. I think it's interesting that it was interesting how it touched upon marriage and what it means to be in an equal marriage, where you know, you both want to contribute certain things, and you want it to be a partnership and a team. And we had one particular episode that was really fun for me to shoot, where we did a bunch of flashbacks, but we also touched upon the scene where Max had been offered the position but hadn't told Georgia, and there was a little bit of deceit going on. She walks out, there was an argument. You know, we didn't see a lot from them in that respect, like the uneasy sort of, we saw a lot of the lovely you know, loving relationship between the two of them, which I think was very important. But I also thought it was good that we did go there a little bit, because marriage is a very complicated thing, and it isn't always you know, it isn't always just lovely and bubbly. It's complex. And what they were trying to do, you know, with him having such an intense job, and her you know, having her dance career, which was only sort of touched upon in the beginning, but that obviously for me was an important factor. Just how were they going to balance those things? That we never get to see that, unfortunately, because, you know, because of her fate. But the idea that, you know, you can support one another, and you can have this sort of, you can have a family, but also each have careers, or, you know, it's just an interesting dynamic. but yeah, I don't know. What did Georgia teach me, or what her? I don't know necessarily what her lesson really was. I mean, she's just a very selfless person, wasn't she? She was very generous and, you know, supportive of Max, and kind of, I think of her as like his mirror, which I think in a lot of really good relationships,
exactly.
You know, what you mirror one another. So sometimes he didn't really like what was coming back. But she was, even in the scenes in season 2, am I allowed to say? I don't even know, for people that haven't seen.
Yeah, I think sure.
Well,
We'll just say spoiler alerts.
We're seeing her in a slightly different light. You know, she was still mirroring him in ways. And I think that was what she was best at, was, you know, showing him where perhaps he could make some changes, or what he was doing right. You know, she was the one that celebrated him the most, but also when things weren't quite right, she was able to just sort of look at him in a certain way. And, you know, a lot of really great relationships have that. And so that was lovely to portray. I'm
not married, but I've learned from TV shows and what I see with my sisters in my families that are married. It's super hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, it's you know, I mean, when you're with the right person, it shouldn't always feel hard, but there are definitely ups and downs. I mean, you know, I've just done 3 months without my husband, and I've never been more grateful for what he contributes to my family. And just how much we love and miss him when he's away. I mean, they say distance makes heart grow fonder, so it was nice to miss him, but at the same time, you know,
come home.
It was a perfectly long time. So, but yeah, marriage is a complex thing, but a beautiful thing, because it's a promise, isn't it? It's a promise to one another, and I think it may be old-fashioned to some people, but I think it's quite a beautiful thing. It
is. Let's talk about your Broadway career and experience. How would you describe Broadway, the Broadway world, in 3 words? And what was the role that went straight to your heart?
I guess I'd have to bunch sort of the West End and Broadway in together to sort of answer this as fully as I can. But the Broadway world in 3 words, gosh, I'm not very good at these kind of questions, I've realized. I mean, thrilling, exhausting, and let's think. I don't know if I have a third. I'll think about my third. And what was your second question?
And what is the role that went straight to your heart?
Went straight to my heart. My very first leading role was Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. And I was, I think, 22.
Wow.
And and it was an enormous undertaking for myself at that age, because I was so inexperienced, and which was what made it so wonderful, because in order to play that part, you have to be a little bit naive and brave, because it's an enormous part. But it will always have sort of a big place in my heart, because it was the thing that I just learned everything from that role, really. You know, how to pace myself, and how to do 8 shows a week without exhausting yourself, and how to have an enormous character arc, and how to sort of it's a marathon, not a sprint. How to work with other actors, how to be generous on stage and off, oh gosh, I mean, there's just like so many things. I just learned so much from that part, that it will always be one of my ultimates. But my Broadway debut was in A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and that was, I originated the part of Sibella Hallward, and it was the first time I had originated a role. And that was something I had always wanted to do, because all the roles I had played previously had been played by remarkable actors. Most famously Julie Andrews, so it's very hard to follow that.
No pressure.
Just hard. going. So I was really thrilled to get the opportunity to do something from the ground up and to create it and to be bold and brave. And Sibella was a really, really fun / tricky character, because she wasn't particularly likable, but ultimately was just very insecure. So yeah, it was brilliantly fun, and to make my Broadway debut in such an amazing musical, and in such a fabulous part was really quite exciting.
But how much do you love musicals, and what do you think is the fate of this type of production, in your opinion? For us back here in Romania, I think it's safe to say underdeveloped.
The musical world is?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I think? Sorry, I missed the beginning of the question. What do I think
How much do you love the musicals, first of all? And what do you think is the fate of this type of production?
Okay. Well, I mean, musical theatre is where my entire career began. So, I mean, I adore musical theatre. I think it takes an incredible stamina as an actor, but also you have to have an incredible skill set, because not only are you portraying a character, you're telling a story, but you're also ultimately you're doing like an opera. 8 times a week. Opera singers would never perform 8 times a week. They do 2 max. Same with ballet dancers. So it's almost an impossible task what they're asking some of these leading actors to do, and ensemble actors actually. With the level of dance and singing and the vocal fatigue and the physical fatigue, and it's remarkable what these artists are doing. So I think it's incredible. I think it has. I love going to see plays, straight plays, but I think there's something about a musical that is so incredibly uplifting and moving. The music, I can't remember who was saying now, but I was explaining, I do a little bit of coaching, but what is the point of a song in a musical? Like, why don't we just speak, use the dialogue, and then move on with the story? But it's when you get to a point in the dialogue where you can't portray what you need to portray next without the added element of music. You need the music to get you to where you need to go next, to move the audience and to make them understand what it is the character is going through. And I think the best written musicals, and My Fair Lady is one of them, they do that. They seamlessly go from dialogue into music, and then you're just sort of like transformed into this other world. And I think it's a remarkable art form, and an underappreciated one, perhaps. And as far as what I think the fate of musical theatre is, I mean, it's a very scary time for theatre in general. My husband and I, we were Broadway people living outside of New York, and we've moved home to England because of the coronavirus, and the impact it's had on our life is just unbelievable. So I don't know what the fate of musicals. I would like to think that once things start opening up again, we come back with a vengeance, but it's going to be a long road, I think, because it takes a lot of money to put on a musical. You need a full house, and it's going to be a tricky one. But my gosh, I just can't wait to get back in and see something, and then ultimately maybe perform again on stage. There's nothing quite like it. The experience of being in a theatre, the immediacy of it, and the risks that the actors are taking every night, and I think it's amazing, and I think we need it more than ever now after the very depressing year that everybody has had, let's face it. So
art is our savior.
Say again.
Art is our savior.
Yes, absolutely. It's our escape, and it's our everything, so we need it.
I was on the new app Clubhouse, and I was just scrolling randomly, and I found a room. Do you know what Clubhouse is?
I don't. Sorry.
No, it's an app where it's a new Facebook, the new Instagram, where you basically enter and you only talk. You don't comment, you don't have pictures, it's just chatting. with your voice. It's very interesting. It's a nice concept. Now, I was telling you about that because I saw they were playing the Broadway show Dream Girl. The original actors, they were on the Clubhouse and they were doing the show on Clubhouse. You can hear them sing and talk, but you couldn't see them. I was happy that I could hear them, you know, doing their job, but I felt like something was missing. It wasn't enough. I wanted to see how you move, how you know, your expression, so I really miss going back to theater. I think it's the most amazing thing that we as humankind did.
And I think, you know, we've been doing it since the dawn of time, but it's interesting, isn't it? The things that you know, that were deemed sort of like unnecessary in the whole COVID crisis have actually become the things that are now like going to be our lifesavers, I think, you know. A hug and getting back into theatre and experiencing art, and they're the things that keep me going.
In the acting world, do you like to be independent, to follow your own instincts, or do you like to share ideas and be, I don't know, shaped? What is the best? Yeah.
It's a really interesting question, actually. No one's ever asked me that. I think I am a little bit of A and a little bit of B. I think I like to be given a little bit of freedom to explore ideas, and then once I have been given a little bit of freedom to explore ideas, it's really nice to be finessed by a director that you know, and it's a really difficult job. I have so much respect for directors, so I think it's really difficult. I could never be one. I have no desire to do that side of things. But I do love bouncing off of a good director and them giving me notes and trying something new, and either it going horribly wrong or like thinking, oh yeah, no, that was exactly it. So it needs to be a little bit of both, because if you feel too micromanaged and straitjacketed, then you're not able to really just release and be in, you know, get into their bones. But it is important because you're not behind the camera and you can't really see what they're seeing. You have to have an incredible amount of trust in your director as well. You know, that they know what they're talking about.
What do you think is the best way to a successful acting career?
To be open, to be generous, to be kind, and to persevere above all else, and not to give up, which I know sounds very cliche. It's just perseverance. You know, it's a lot of hard work. You have to keep going.
I like to say, I think it's okay to say it even in the acting industry. I like to say that every rejection is a new brick for your beautiful house.
Right, exactly. Oh, I read a lovely thing the other day. It was like, life is like, I'm going to get this so wrong now. Life is like photography. You need the negatives to develop.
True. Oh, wow.
Right? And I was like, wow. I love that. Because you do, you know, if it was all just shiny and glorious all the time, well, first of all, we wouldn't have anything to pull on as actors, would we? True. We would be pretty one-dimensional. So there's that, but you do, and sometimes it's the job you don't get that sort of leads you to the thing that you go, oh, I didn't think that was going to get this, and then it's interesting. I mean, New Amsterdam was a good example of that, because I got turned down for a theatre show that I had been part of since the beginning stages, and it really was a big stab to my ego, but that was all it was, you know. And I had to recognize that actually it wasn't really the material I was that connected with. It was more just that I was upset to have not been asked to move forward with the project. But had I moved forward with the project, I wouldn't have been doing New Amsterdam. So it's that thing, isn't it? We just have to trust, as well as an incredible amount of trust, not only in your director, but but also in just like that you're going to the right thing is going to come if you just keep going.
What is the greatest, by far, achievement as an actress and the most significant truth about your artistic personality?
Oh, gosh, biggest achievement as an actress. I mean, gosh,
it doesn't have to be necessarily a role, or maybe a feeling that you had on stage or shooting, or
oh my goodness, I don't know. I'm so critical of myself in work. Like, I never go, yes, that was brilliant. You know, I'm always like, I'm always sort of going away and like micromanaging myself and thinking about how I could have done things better. But oh gosh, I don't know. There's been small triumphs along the way. I think well, actually, I really should mention this, but when I went back to shoot season 2 of New Amsterdam, I had only just given birth 2.5 weeks prior to my second child when I filmed the birth of Luna. And it was a very traumatic scene to shoot. I had a lovely, gorgeous water birth with no complications, but I was still very much in that fragile, state of having just given birth. And I had my mother in my trailer holding my newborn baby, like fresh newborn baby.
You had to give birth again.
I had to give birth again. Being both that freshly postpartum, it's an intense thing. Getting up at 3 a.m. and shoving your newborn in a car seat and your mother and all the stuff and driving to, it was a massive achievement. I feel very proud of myself for kind of pulling that out, because the production were counting on me to be there. I couldn't just say, I just can't. I had to do it. And I wanted to do it, but it was an enormous ask. And they were amazing. They were very supportive and wonderful with me. And the whole team are just gorgeous, but it was a big ask. So that was a huge achievement. And just, I think going back to work in general after children is massive. Your kids are your number one job. It's 24/7. But it's funny because as much as I had that, like I was talking about, I had that lull after kids where I was worried that I wouldn't get back. And I had I had to really sort of pull myself up by the bootstraps because my self-esteem was in the toilet a little bit. I also really felt that when I did get back to work, that my work had really changed, and maybe for the better through having kids and that life experience, because your heart is literally like torn out of your body, and now you're wearing it on your arm when you have a child. It's a different way of being. Like when you become a mother, you are essentially a new person. And it was really fascinating to go back to work and to discover things as a mother. Even if I wasn't playing a mother, it changed everything. And for the better, I think, in a lot of ways. Scheduling and childcare and late nights and all of that is, being up in the night, being exhausted, it's challenging, but it made the work so much richer, because first of all, when you're at work, it's like, right, I get a chance to do this thing now that I love away from my kid for a moment. So I'm going to really, focus in on that. But also it's just like opened all these new facets of your being that you didn't think existed. So it was thrilling and exciting to go back as a mom, and I love my children to death, and they are my everything. But I have recognized how much better I am as a human being and as a mother when I get to tell my stories and to do my work. So that's been a good thing to acknowledge.
Congratulations.
Your question at all.
Yeah, you did. That is by far the greatest achievement that you did.
Becoming a mom. And then the way it impacted everything I did after.
Yeah, becoming a mom and being able to juggle between mom and work and husband and marriage and kids, and It's
I mean,
great. I don't think I can do that.
I mean, playing Mary Poppins, like, you know, the harnesses, the vocal thing, the physical, like that was an enormous challenge. And like, of course that's up there and like, oh, achievements, like check.
Yeah.
But really like in the grand scheme of things, like when you going back to work postpartum 3 weeks after birth and having to do that was, yeah, it was way harder.
I just when you said Mary Poppins, sorry, I just saw a meme with Mary Poppins with the umbrella going through some electrical cables.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, don't. I have a story about that umbrella. It's not good. Oh.
Every time I see Mary Poppins or I hear Mary Poppins now, I just remember that umbrella that goes through the electrical cables. And
oh my God. Oh,
horrible.
Yes. I definitely flew without an umbrella on more than one occasion, and it wasn't fun because it, you know, just technical.
It's scary. I mean, just rely on an umbrella.
I know.
I'm flying.
I'll never forget because actually one of them I think was like really early on. I was, you know, in my 20s and that kind of thing. Now I would just take it on the chin and sort of laugh about it, but then it was a really big deal. I was going up in the wing, like ready to fly, and the umbrella popped open and got caught, and they were like, drop it. I was like, and it was because it was ripping. It was just ripping to shreds. So I had to let go of it, and I had my carpet bag, but that was all I had. So I just sort of like had to do superhero, like arm on hip kind of like just mortifying. But what
I bet that way when they told you drop it, you were thinking, but how am I gonna fly now?
Yes, I was like, I can't. I think that's what I was saying. And they were like, you have to, because it was ripping like things, the brolly, the scenery, everything. So I had to go of it. But oh, my days, mortified. I remember like as I came out, like without the umbrella, you know, there was sort of a moment like the audience were like, something's different. Still clap, but you know, yeah, not the best.
I know that you are also a member of Actors Equity. I would like to ask you, for what rights should we, and also you, fight, and how does art help people, especially now in times of crisis, in your opinion? I know we talked that art is like a necessary thing that we didn't think we needed.
How does art help people?
Yeah.
I think that I think it's a form of therapy. I really do. I think people lose themselves in art, whether it be, you know, tuning into a television show and you know, relating to a character and a story, or whether it's going to the theatre and getting a full sort of experience of escapism. But it's so essential for us as human beings, and more essential than ever, I think. Yeah, I mean, gosh, I don't know. I think it's so important. And I hope that things start to really come back now things are opening up again, because I think it could be really detrimental. I mean, we've seen such a big, you know, we've seen the huge impact that this whole pandemic has had on people's mental health. I've seen it myself in my own family and friends.
I've seen it, and I really think that art really helped me, because I wasn't depressed, but I was on the point of getting to, because I didn't have nothing to do, no activities, no friends, no people. No, I moved into a new country, a new city, and I was like, what am I going to do? So I started painting.
Is that your work?
Yeah.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love that. That is excellent. I didn't know that. I mean, I love it. I just thought it was some beautiful, I don't know.
No, it's just that I did the paintings, and I ended up to a point where I created 6 paintings in one day.
Good.
So now I have no place where to put the paintings.
Well, you know, you could use that opportunity, like maybe you start like auctioning them off for charity, or perhaps you can start thinking about ways that you can use your paint to contribute, because they're beautiful.
Thank you. Really, I was thinking to
I love the one on the left of my left. You're right. Yeah, that one.
This one, yeah, I love it. This is black with some blue and some silver and.
Well, and yeah, I would like that on my wall.
Oh. I will bring it when I come back to London. I will just put it in my bag and I'll bring it to you.
Deal. No, I think it's super duper important. I really do.
Yeah.
More than ever, and I'm excited for things to start opening up again here. I know we're on the brink of seeing theatre return, and all my friends in London are just chomping at the bit to get back. So it will be lovely.
My last question for you, Lisa, is what's the message that Lisa from the present has and wants to share with Lisa for the future?
For the future?
Yeah, you were expecting to the past, right?
I kind of was expecting that.
Yeah.
Like if big Lisa could talk to little Lisa, that sort of scenario. Oh goodness, my thing is I really, really would love to learn how to let things go. You
should play Elsa. She knows how to do it best. Let it go.
I hear it every day in my house. Like I could see it as a sign.
Same with my niece.
I just need to, I want to live a little bit more in the moment. It's very simple, isn't it? And everyone's, I guess, essentially trying to do that. But with my kids, in my work, be less self-critical and just let things go and enjoy, what you have right now. I mean, I feel like I know that, and I feel it, and I feel the gratitude for things, but I'm not so good at being in the art of, like, in the moment, not overanalyzing or worrying, and I would like to think that Lisa in the future is a little bit better at that. But I don't know. I just hope I hope that everyone's healthy and that we're all out of this mess of this pandemic and moving on with life and art and, but who knows? It's a good job we can't see into the future, I think, because I mean, we knew this was coming. Can you imagine? It's not meant
literally
for a reason.
It took me by surprise. I was in London and I had to fly back to Bucharest. Mm-hmm. And in like an hour, everything changed. Mm-hmm. Everything. I was so stressed, confused. I was like, what's happening with my life? I started getting anxiety. I'm not anxious usually, I know the things that I have to do. I'm organized. I was like, what?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people felt that. And I think over the past year or year and a half, whatever it's been now, people have been experiencing a lot more anxiety than they've ever felt before, because there's this real isolation and we just rely so much on human contact, but we didn't realize until it was no longer we were no longer allowed to. I mean, it's like a basic human right that you're able to just give someone a hug or like go visit someone for a chat. It's been the most bizarre thing, to get your head around. What do you mean I can't just go and see my sister?
I'm not allowed to see my sister,
I'm not allowed.
I'm not allowed.
It has been bizarre. And if it had, of course, it was going to have enormous impacts on our mental health. I hope that there is a big effort, and I think that art will have a huge part in this. Yeah. And it has done through the lockdown. The things that people have been putting out has been amazing, and I think it's helped a lot of people. But I hope that moving forward, that we do see a big awareness, at least, for people's mental health and how we can help one another moving forward, because it's been rough. Today is like the kind of final moving forward moment for us, because we made such an enormous decision to move. It felt really, really big. It felt like we threw literally all our chips in at the casino on red or whatever, and just went, okay, let's go. So I'm feeling very hopeful today. You caught me on a good day. Perhaps yesterday it wouldn't have been so good, because I was in lots of, is he going to get the visa or not? But it feels like now we're going to be together. And I feel that in general with spring and things opening up here, I don't know how it feels there, but it's starting to feel more hopeful here. People are getting back to some semblance of new normal. So
I think it's the spring feeling. I love it.
Yeah. Spring is beautiful. Although we're really I know we love to talk about the weather in England, but we are like really behind. It's still cold and
Too cold, yeah?
It's not like things that normally bloom in March are only just blooming now in May. It's I think my husband's a bit concerned about the weather coming from America, where it's also warm and sunny in the summer. He's like, is this going to be summer?
It's not spring yet there, so
yeah, so hopefully we'll just have this extra long
coming
summer, but we'll see. Anyway, it's been
thank
lovely.
you so much, Lisa. It's been a pleasure. You are wonderful, and congratulations, and I'm happy that you have a happy day today.
Yes, you too, and congrats on the beautiful artwork.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope I will see you in London sometime soon, maybe for a coffee or anything, or a future interview. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, if I'm there, absolutely would love to.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.